there was an iconic moment that involved, and it was 1988, a young bloke from Queensland who stunned the world by clinching Olympic gold in Seoul in the 200-metre free. He was ranked at the time 46th in the world. Duncan Armstrong's victory was testament to the underdog spirit, a story that resonated with Australians everywhere. It wasn't always plain sailing, because life after the Olympics has had the odd challenge, which I'll ask him about, because at the age of 52, he had a heart attack requiring a triple bypass. I'm sure we all remember that. But just for a moment, let's revisit 1988. And this is something that I'll never, ever forget. If you were watching the coverage, you saw the microphones and the cameras go to the stands, and a bloke called Laurie Lawrence, and our team was doing so wonderfully well, and this was what the camera and the microphone captured the moment after Duncan won gold.
We did it again, mate. We did it again. Lucky lane 6. Lucky lane 6.
Can you talk now, mate? How do you feel?
Mate, we just beat 3 world record holders. How do you think I feel? How do you think I... How do you think I...
Mate, inside, I reckon you knew he was going to do that. Did you think he... Mate,
Thanks.
Laurie, inside, did you think he could do it?
Mate, what do you think we come here for? Silver? Stuff the silver, we come for the gold. What do you think we come for?
Duncan Armstrong, good morning.
That's so good.
How are you, mate? How are you?
I'm very good, thanks, Luke. Some good memories there, mate. Thank you for playing that.
Not at all.
At his best.
No, mate, that your talent, your effort, your dedication, your commitment, an absolute gift to the nation. I mean, at the time, you're not thinking on that level, of course. You're just, I guess, focusing on performance. But you turn up and you win gold, and people are saying, who's this bloke? To some extent, respectfully. It's a lot for a young bloke to deal with, isn't it?
It was a lot to deal with, Luke. I left Australia about a week or 2 weeks before the big moment in Seoul. And then when I returned to Australia, sort of like 2 weeks after that, when the games in Seoul had finished, everybody knew my name, and my life was completely different because of that 1 minute and 47 seconds in the pool that day. So, yeah, as a 20-year-old, did a lot of my growing up in Rockhampton, the beautiful central Queensland, and then in Brisbane. It was a lot to take in when I got back.
I want to talk to you about life after swimming, because that's got an equal number of lessons. But if you, and I know this is somewhat corny, but if you went back and gave yourself some advice today, in that week before the games, do you know what that would be? What would you say to yourself?
Oh, probably just slow down. You know, I was a very competitive person, which fed into my swimming beautifully. Yeah. And I really took that sort of formula into friendships, mateships, relationships, corporate life, deals, all those sort of things. So I was a man on a mission in every single way, shape and form. So if I was to go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, it would probably be something very simple like, slow down, mate. You got a lot of life in front of you. You don't have to win a gold medal in everything you do.
That's fascinating, and probably very good advice. You more than anyone would know that. You've had a very successful career in the media. Certainly here, calling swimming at 9. We're part of 9, and of course, business, discipline, mindset, all those things. As a mentor and assisting corporate Australians deal with what's thrown in front of them. What are the most important things? And you've discovered all this stuff in a journey, so you authentically know. What's the important stuff?
I think the important stuff is us as individuals to understand ourselves. Like we get a lot of messages thrown at us outside of ourselves from family members first, and then the corporate, and then the media, and stuff like that. So whatever you do, people listening, whatever you do, the work you do within, digging down into who and what you are and how you operate, and where your compulsions come from and how to control your compulsions is probably the most important work anybody can absolutely do for themselves, because you are the beneficiary first, and then your relationships are the beneficiary second, and your success profiles after that. But unless you work out who and what you are and what makes you tick, what you like, what you don't like, where your gaps are to improve yourself and to understand yourself more, that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Go and find out who and what you are.
That's interesting, because the self can be a mighty unkind individual. We can say some horrible things to ourselves, can't we? So how do you not beat yourself up but be frank and fearless in your assessment of yourself?
Yeah, that's it. Actually, you put it really well there, Luke. Go and find some professional help to work out why you do what you do, what makes you tick, and then what you can do about it. Because you can't do it on your own. You can't white-knuckle this stuff to be better. You can get all the self-help you want down the aisles of the bookstores or on the podcasts and listen to the gurus and stuff like that. But without that professional coaching, it becomes very, very difficult, and it takes decades to do on your own. So find a really good professional, listen to them, do your lessons, and become who you're really meant to be. Our parents tried to do the best job they could do. Your grandparents did the best job with your parents and their great-grand. So we learn our lessons that come through the generations in different Australias, different pressures from the economy, different pressures from your work-life balance and all that kind of stuff. And that's all wrapped up in you. And so you do what you do, and it's been handed down from generations. And unless you get a guide to walk you through it and then grow in that, really experience the difficult stuff, stare at the difficult stuff, address the problems that you've got with a professional, you're going to be basically making the same mistakes and going around in circles pretty much all your life.
Such great advice. Now, let me touch on a few things here. You do a lot of work with Exercise and Sports Science Australia. There was some data released this week revealing 62,000 Aussies were hospitalised due to sports injuries in 2023 and 2024. That's remarkable. And not all of us are running into Spencer Leniu at the Roosters. So what's going on here?
Well, thank goodness we're not.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there'd be more than 62,000.
That's right.
A machine. But 62,000 are hospitalised. So we're not even taking into account that report when you look at GPs and health professionals outside the hospital system. So that's 62,000 Australians who are playing sport, thank goodness, because we want to get Australians moving. We want physical activity to be part of it. But cycling, the football codes, basketball, netball, it's all come out in this report by the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare to see that we really need the exercise professionals involved with education and our community sporting organisations to help them in that very, very important preventative health model. So our professionals who work for Exercise Sports and Sports Science Australia are people like exercise physiologists, exercise scientists and sports scientists. We need them in education, them in our community sports, to come up with this evidence-based warming up and conditioning programs that are tailored for the age, tailored for the ability, and very, very much the sports-specific demands of the cycling and footy codes and basketball that we see in community sports. So we really need our professionals involved with getting programs that prevent these injuries, 62,000 in the year of 23-24. It's probably more now. So we need our exercise professionals involved, helping them with programming, understanding who's playing at whatever age, however they're presenting, their ability, and the sport-specific demands. So we need those warm-ups, we need those conditioning, and we need these evidence-based professionals involved.
You know what? I know this idiot that went 10-pin bowling with his twin granddaughters last week and thought, the 10-pin bowling, I used to do that as a kid, no dramas here. And he's been wearing a knee guard all week, the clown. Yeah. All right, it was me, but did
you get a strike? But tell me you got a strike.
Yeah, I did, of course. Please, Duncan. Of course I did. But it's a salient point. I mean, 62,000 people hospitalised. Do you think probably many of us think we're invincible, and we did that as a kid, so we can do it as an adult. And that's just a very amateur take on stuff, but it just makes complete and utter sense. I did not know the number was that high. Now I'm going to ask you about your heart. How is it?
Oh, it's going pretty good now, Luke. So at 52, like you said, when you're introducing me, I had this catastrophic heart attack. I didn't even know I was ill. I built up so much calcium in my organs around my heart, my vessels around my heart, that I had a 97, a 60, 97, an 85 and an 83. And so the 97 was trying to kill me, and I had this awful heart attack.
Jeez.
And had to get a triple bypass surgery on it. So my life completely changed at that point. I really had to learn who and what I was again in terms of that, because I was bowling along, really, really fit, really enjoying the gym, really enjoying all this sort of like weekend warrior stuff that I was into, like half marathons and triathlons and things like that. And I really didn't even know I was a ticking time bomb. So I tell everybody now, go and get a CT calcium score in your suburbs from your doctor, get a referral, get a calcium score. You go to your radiologist, you leave your clothes on. It's a 20-minute impost on your day, costs $45. Go and get your score, see if you're building up calcium around your heart and in your head. And if you're getting a 0 to 300, you're doing great. Good luck to you. Anything over 300, you've got to talk to your doctor about medication or intervention.
You did so much for this country back in the late 80s, winning that medal and subsequently. But saying what you just said today, I've had a couple of people, in fact, Peter Volandis, to drop a name, said exactly that to me, as did a former senior Commonwealth politician, as did a doctor that works here that said, mate, this CT score, it's a real thing. And you've just broken down all the barriers, mate. So you do GPs say, righto, here's a referral, go and get the test? Do you knock on his door and say, or her door and say, hey, I want to check one of these? I heard a bloke on the radio say it's a good idea. Should I?
Yeah, no, I wish the government would, just like the ovarian test, just like the early poo test, just like the bowel thing, I wish it was part of what we get as Australians from the federal government, that they pay for a CT calcium scan. It'd go a long way with identifying people at risk. But seriously, everybody listening, knock on your GP's door next visit and say, I want a referral for a CT calcium score, please, and just go and do it. It could save your life.
You're a remarkable Aussie, mate. Thanks for your time and thanks for all you've done. Great to talk to you.
No worries, Luke. Lovely to speak to you,
You too.
mate.
Duncan Armstrong.